Hello, it is Jacinta Mpali Nkana, and I'm going to begin this recording with a Swedish proverb that goes, "Worry often gives a small thing a big shadow." Worry often gives a small thing, a big shadow. Well, why am I sharing this? I'm sharing this in celebration of the Global Worry-Free Day, which is today, March 1st. This is a day I founded about 3 years ago, a day that I almost accidentally decided to register because I had been worried for so many hours, and I discovered that the worry had started impacting my physical appearance. I mean, when I looked in the mirror after a couple of hours of worrying, my eyes were red, my nose was crooked, my lips were folded, my skin was pale, and I broke out in laughter. I'm like, oh my God, look at me, worrying about things I can't change and about things that I don't have. How ungrateful. So I want to be worry-free, and that was like a light bulb in my mind, and I decided to create the day for anyone and everyone in the world to take 12 hours, your time zone, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to just be worry-free. And a few tips to do that is to volunteer, clean your house, clean the clutter in your wardrobe, and take clothes and old stuff that you haven't used in 6 months to charity. Reach out and help someone else. That way you will be packing up everything that should have been worrying you in somewhere in your consciousness. And by the way, by the time you get back to it will be kind of like desensitized, weakened, because you focused on other things, positive things other than worry for a few hours. So in this audio recording, I'm going to share with you 10 ways to inspire and change your life. These are ways that I've learned from my teachers, from blogs. I read a lot, so I've compiled these tips to help you get inspired. And if you're not the kind of person who, or maybe you're in a country or somewhere where you don't feel like or don't have the means to go out there and give or volunteer, I suggest that you focus on these 10 tips. Maybe one will change your life. Maybe one will help you remove your grip or release your grip on worry, so that you can decide to start making positive changes for your life. So without further ado, tip number 1 is you have to know where you are and where you want to go. You see, by knowing where you are and where you want to go, what I mean is that you have to examine what you have. What you have right now, going to use something called the SWOT analysis. And this is examining your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. And this is in comparison to where you want to go, So as you examine that, you'll be able to identify the skills that are missing, and you may have to acquire all the people that you need to help you get to achieve that goal. You might need to move whatever you're missing. By analyzing yourself and examining where you are in relation to where you want to get, you will be able to identify what's missing. Now, tip number 2 is to take full responsibility of your experience, your actions, your thoughts, your beliefs, because everything is within you. Trust me, the mirror is not responsible for the reflection, for the image in front of it. You cannot blame the mirror for the image or the reflection in it. You blame the image. If you want to change the reflection in the mirror, as you stand in front of it, you have to change the image. So with that said, this also implies that you cannot blame your external environment or the experiences in it, because you mirror what you experience. You can never, ever, ever experience what you like or what you wish for. You only experience what you are. Perception is projection. You see what you already know. Your experience is triggered by information and knowledge that you've already saved, that you've already stored in your memory bank, in your unconscious mind. If you want to change your experiences, then you have to change your internal dialogue, your story. Therefore, the first step, maturity, they call it getting to maturity, is taking full responsibility of everything that has ever happened to you. You see, there is a story I had from Jim Rohn. He said that there was this guy, he was so tired of his car. And so for so many years, he had blamed the manufacturer of the car. He had blamed the car, the engine of the car, because the car had really given him a hard time. He had blamed the gas companies for the fuel. He had blamed the IRS for the money they took from his paycheck. He had blamed his employer for the little money that they had paid him. And he hadn't included himself on the list. So he continued driving the messed up car. But one day, he woke up and got a really big, strong iron rod and smashed the car. And after that, he put fire on it. And he said, I am getting rid of this car and I don't even want anyone else in this world to drive that car. So he had taken full responsibility of his experience. He knew that he had to decide. It was up to him to get rid of what he didn't want so that he can create space for what he wanted. Now, tip number 4 is invest in your mind. You see, again, Jim Rohn says that information is the most valuable community, and I agree. You see, in my opinion, Google and YouTube are universities. You can literally learn anything on those two channels. The idea is you have to begin creating new stories in your mind. You know, your mind is like a bank. What you put in is what you get out. What you sow is what you reap. Many people think that reading is wastage of time. They have all these reasons why they don't take time to empower themselves. Again, Jim Rohn says that you better work harder on yourself than on your job. So when you invest in your mind, you have to read. You have to focus. First of all, you've already identified what you want. Then find other people who have already been successful in that field. If it's about success, then read lots and lots of books about success. I don't even know how many books I've read about psychology and empowerment and self-development and life coaching, in spite of the fact that I have, PhDs and all that. But I'm a student. I will forever be a student. I'm continuously seeking and learning from the gurus in my field, because that is my passion, how to empower ourselves by achieving emotional freedom. And I know a thing or two, and I'm not saying that I know it all, but it's very exciting because I'm always learning. So the idea is to read every single day. If you're not a reader, then watch YouTube instead of watching R&B or whatever music that you want. Once in a while, actually it's not once in a while, every day, spare at least 20 minutes to study a subject that will contribute to your well-being. Then tip number 5 is be consistent with your standards. Tony Robbins says that if you want to change your life, change your standards, and you've got to be consistent. So if you know what you want, you've taken full responsibility of your well-being, and you've invested in your mind, you have got to be persistent. You can't go in the gym for 2 weeks and rest for 2 years thinking that what you did in 2 weeks will help you achieve those abs after 2 years. It's about consistency. You have to fall in love. You have to be passionate. That's why your why is very important. Asking yourself all the time, why am I doing this? Because your why is your driving force. Even when the going gets tough, the why drives you to take that extra step, take that extra mile to keep going on to achieving your goal. And then tip number 6 is Don't hang out with people with problems similar to yours. This is something that my mom told me. Don't hang out with people who have problems similar to yours. Instead, hang out with people who have solutions that you're seeking for. You know, there is an African proverb that says that if you want to eat dogs, it says that if the more you hang out with the more you hang out in a village with people in a village who eat dogs, then guess what? You will learn how to eat dogs. And that's really gross because I love dogs. So the thing is that we are like chameleons. We get to change according to our environment, and Dr. Bruce Lipton has proved it in his book, The Biology of Belief. What you surround yourself with, you become. You know, that's why they say that you are the total sum of all the people you hang out with. So hang out with people who will lift you. Don't hang out with people who are like crabs, who will pull you back into the crab syndrome, you know, who want misery. Hang out with people who have already achieved what you want, or people who will empower you and help you in one way, or people who are peaceful and will remind you of who you truly are, and remind you of how peaceful is so beneficial by just hanging out with them. Then tip number 7 is consistently clear your mind. You know, your mind is like a garden. Our minds are like gardens. If you don't clear the weeds in your garden and it's always raining, trust me, it will always be filled with weeds. You see, we are surrounded by so much negativity. The press, the internet, the advertisement, Facebook, name it. Everyone and everything is after our minds. So you have to consistently weed out any information, all the stories that you don't need, because if you don't, then you find yourself being sad, because this is intentional. All these people who put out positive negative news, they want company. Misery loves company. So for you to be able to protect your mind, to weed out, you have to consistently weed out anything, any thoughts, any beliefs that are developing that you feel do not support your well-being or do not, deserve you. Then tip number 7 is take time with yourself. Take time with yourself. I think that's tip number 8 here. Take time with yourself. Learn who you are. Learn yourself. Spend time with yourself. Learn what rocks your boat. Examine yourself. Become a witness of your mind. Learn what you think about. Examine what you think about all the time. Step back and see how you make decisions and what inspires you to make those decisions. Take time to examine how you act and what happens before you act. Examine yourself, and this you can do by taking at least 20 minutes every day and turning off anything like the television and the internet and Facebook and the cell phone, and just closing your eyes and feeling your body, how you feel, what you're thinking about, what type of thoughts you think about, how much you love yourself. You are the only you have. If you don't focus on yourself, you always butcher yourself. If you butcher yourself, who else will admire you? So spending time with yourself will empower you and will also help you identify where you need to stretch. All right, tip number 9 is take care of your body. Feed it with live foods. That is self-explanatory. If you want to be alive, then you have to eat live foods. You see, what you sow is what you reap. If you're consistently eating all the dead meat, and I'm not after people who eat meat, don't take me wrong, but I'm only saying that trying is wrong. Do it. Live foods like vegetables, an apple every day keeps the doctor away. Eat an carrot. Do something. Eat healthy. It feels good. It really does feel good. And then the last tip number 10 is stop playing it safe. Oh my God. Dr. Wayne Dyer once said that when you take that extra mile, it won't be crowded out there. So break out of your comfort zone. Do things you've never done before. Open your mind to experience more. Dr. Wayne Dyer also once said that be open-minded but not attached. Because when you get attached, then you grab a certain experience and you say, this is it, I'm not moving on, and The idea is to embrace every moment like it's never happened before, and that's the truth. And then be open-minded to experience what else is out there. Swim in a place you've never swum before. Go and see places you've never seen. Do things that you've never done. And as a result, you are automatically developing a new story. And hopefully that story will be a more inspiring, empowering story that will consistently create peace and great memories on which to tap into to continue living life on your terms. Now, I'll leave this quotation with you by Winston Churchill. He said that when I look back on all those worries, I remember the story of the old man who said on his deathbed that he had had a lot of trouble in his life, most of which had never happened. That means, my friend, that whatever you worried about, when you look back, you will discover that you were worried for absolutely nada, nothing, zero. So as you celebrate this day, continue celebrating it for the rest of your life. I created this day, founded this day actually. I didn't create it, but founded the Global Worry Free Day as a starting point so that we as a generation can consider the abundant resources that we have in our universe and how we can give instead of always trying to get, and how we can focus on what we have and be grateful and release and remove our grip on the worry or stress, because we are so worried on having more and having better, and we are so focused on what we don't have. And I'm not saying that you lower your standards, but all I'm saying that instead of worrying about what you don't have or what is not working out, why not focus on what you have and how you can use it to get what you want?